you're making is that in addition to the body having chemistry and it is, in a sense, a whole description of the body that could be made, that organs and tissues and the processes within them are really about the way certain chemistries come together in some parts to fashion the structure and in other parts to create the function. So there is scientifically generally very good biochemical understanding of the body, and that fits into something called physiology, which is the way those biochemistries fit into how all the systems work within the system and between the systems. And beyond the chemical understanding, there's also an energetic understanding. And all the chemistry of the body, of course, is made up of atoms, and atoms have electrical fields and sheltered electrons around them that are very responsive to light, absorb and remit light. And of particular interest is the understanding that DNA itself can absorb and emit light, and even in the healthy living state, generate its own light. So the concept of cells holding light and the body holding light is more than an esoteric concept. There is actually light that is generated, and the work that we are doing, in addition to supporting the body's chemistry, is also about the ability to amplify the quantity and the quality of light that is actually stored in the cells of the body, which then in turn influences the potential for DNA to rewrite the way its code is expressed. Yes, so the idea of the cells with more light and of certain types of light and vibrations of light goes beyond an esoteric concept to a physical concept that happens in the cells, and that is then about the ability with energy, with information, light energy, combined with conscious belief and intention to rewrite the way the code itself is expressed. Not only rewriting it for the person who is, in a sense, imbuing more light in the cells and having a shift in beliefs to a more enlightened perspective, if you want to call it that, or a more compassionate perspective. This actually shifts the way the code itself is expressed, not just for them, but actually it is inherited into their generations as well. And this, of course, fits into the work in the arena known as epigenetics, particularly as popularized by Dr. Bruce Lipton in his book, The Biology of Belief, and of course supported by a much wider network of scientists and work that is done. The idea that the beliefs that one holds influences the DNA, and that a shift in beliefs or lifestyle, for that matter, such as by stress reduction, altering diet, and shifting beliefs to a more positive viewpoint, actually changes not the code itself. It doesn't change the arrangement or sequence of the bases in DNA, which is what codes for the proteins, but it changes the way the actual switches in the code work to determine how the code itself is expressed. And the basic phrasing used in science is genotype versus phenotype. Genotype means basically the genes that you were born with that were inherited from the maternal and paternal contributions, whereas the phenotype is a specific way the genes are expressed. So what is extraordinary is that the esoteric notions that you can create a state of better health through changing beliefs and attitudes to a more positive state, and certainly as reinforced by positive shifts in lifestyle, in exercise, rest, diet, activity and stress reduction, that the actual expression of the code itself changes in a more positive way. In fact, there was a study recently showing that the process of meditation actually created a physically measurable reversal of the aging clock at the DNA level. And complexity can be added to it, of course, if you get into what is actually happening at the level of DNA and the complexities of the ways that DNA has of switching on or switching off a particular sequence of DNA and how that all gets coordinated and expressed. But that is fairly complex. But the basic idea that a shift to a more positive pattern of beliefs shifts the actual expression of the code in a positive way, in a way that can be physically measured, and in a way that actually can reduce the predisposition to certain adverse health conditions. That not only works for the person who makes that shift, but that pattern is then passed on, that relief of the predisposition is passed on